East African Community Affairs, and an activist on environment issues. Clark County MP will be responding to, letting us understand how activism is keeping safe our natural resources in northern Uganda. And some of the questions may be also answered by him as being a key leader, a national leader. What is at the level of parliament as far as keeping our natural resources safe is concerned. Now, in Moyo, we'll be listening to the voice of the Secretary for Natural Resources for Moyo District. That's Mr. Associate John JB. Associate JB. Associate will be telling us the local perspective of the environment. We'll be having Mr. Mawadri Charles, Director of Programs at Global M, and he will be letting us understand from their own perspective how the natural resources can be sustainably used. Now, we'll be having another guest here who will be more into remedies to what we shall have identified as challenges from their own perspective as organizations. What can be done, and also the listener will be asking some of those questions. And I'm already privileged to have here Mr. Papi Simon. Papi Simon works for West Nile Foresters. Mr. Chema Daniel works for Abizade. We have Judith as a Kozo. She works for CARE. We have Mr. Oyako Samuel. Oyako is from GIZ. We have Mr. Feni Tribe. Mr. Feni Tribe is the Chief Executive Officer for West Nile Civil Society Network. And we have Mr. Ndema Habib. Ndema Habib works for Omia Agri Business. Now, these will be voices we shall be listening. These will be people whose voices we shall be listening to. Some of them will be joining us here. I'm not seeing some of them yet, but already those are the names, those are the organizations, all the names you will be having in this very discussion. My name is Gaetano Pamako, and I'm very privileged to be here with a team of technical bench. This broadcast is being coordinated by Ismail Ikobwa, Nguma Samson as the technicians in Arua, Rachikara Moses in Gulu, Duale Caesar in Moyo, as well as team coordinators Chire Steven and Orachuun Ronald. Social media is by Chandia Peter. So this broadcast is online. You can be following us online. For the video part of it, video part of the discussion, you can be following us online with Peter. Right, now let's get started, and we want to go straight to a welcome remark by the Director of Radio Patches, and that is none other than Father Charles. Father, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Gaetano, our host. I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of Radio Patches family here in Arua, Gulu, and Moyo to welcome our guest speakers to Radio Patches headquarters for this Northern Uganda Green Dialogue. It is really my honor to welcome you, dear guest, the panelists, and our guests also in the sister studios in Gulu and Moyo, our dear listeners who are very important to us, and we are directing our discussions to them. You are all most welcome. I take this opportunity in a honored way to say the environment is our mother. And I quote from Pope Francis from his encyclical letter Laudato Si, where he insists that if we treat Mother Earth poorly, if we treat our sister Earth poorly, then we will be shooting ourselves on the foot. And therefore, as Radio Patches, we have this initiative of Go Green, but this year, in a special way, we want to make us share as the people of Northern Uganda about the importance of preserving the environment, about the importance of using friendly energy. We are very much aware that energy is a very important component of our daily activities. And we are informed that through statistics, the world per capita, energy consumption is about 3,000 kilowatt hours per person in the world. And we are also aware that in sub-Saharan Africa, it is only about 530 or so. In Uganda, it is half of that. But the half of that, you can know in our own perspective when we come to Arua what it will mean. And therefore, discussing how we can protect our environment, how we can use our energy resources efficiently is very key and important. Therefore, I invite you to this discussion to share your expertise, to share your well-thought ideas and plans about the protection of the environment. With this, I would like to declare this dialogue open. Thank you and most welcome.
Right, thank you very much, Father Charles, for those wonderful words. And listener, as we get the coordinator for Go Green campaign of Radio Patches, your input, your questions shall be expressed through text message, and you can already get them coming here. The line we're going to use is this one for this discussion. This is the text message line. It is 0393 273252. This is the line we'll use for this discussion. It is 0393 273252. Keep the messages coming. If you can be brief, it will be good. You can give us the local experience where you are about how safe our environment is, or you can give us your question that will be responded to by the guests. We'll also pick some of the concerns that will be on Facebook. The discussion is live on Facebook. Some of those concerns will be able to read them. But for text message, that is the line 0393 273252. And this dialogue is going up to 1 p.m. It is 10:30 a.m. Yes. And at about midday, we'll be getting to your feedback. Yes. Now, let's go to the coordinator for Go Green campaign, Radio Patches, and that is Mr. Fario Silva. Silva, let's know your motivations as Radio Patches for this campaign. Why was this by Radio Patches?
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Gaetano, the moderator for this dialogue. I want to appreciate you and allow me to welcome the different partners, the guests and panelists that we have under this tent. And in our studios in Gulu and Moyo, in your different capacities, the director, Arua Diocese Media Center, that is Radio Patches, and our dear listener, good morning. I'm so delighted to see all of us under this tent and in our studios in Gulu and Moyo as well. We want to thank you so much for honoring our invitation to participate in this dialogue, to make a change, to take action and to restore our already destroyed environment, and to see that the little existing vegetation is protected and restored as well, and to honor the World Environment Day celebrations, which will take place tomorrow, 5th of June, but we chose to celebrate this early, that is today, under the theme One Earth. That will be for tomorrow. And the moderator has already enlightened us on our topic of discussion for today. And we will be discussing with that topic. I also want to take this time to appreciate all the partners who've been working with all of us here under this tent, and those in Gulu and Moyo, and those who have not turned up here have been our partners, contributors to the environment in West Nile and Northern Uganda all together. And also the partners who have who sponsored us in this dialogue, West Nile Foresters and Omia Agribusiness. I want to appreciate you as well. And also DCA is going to provide for us seedlings. I want to appreciate you as well. Now, why the Northern Uganda Green Dialogue? Now, the idea of the Northern Uganda Green Dialogue came up as a result of the aims and objectives of the Radio Purchase Go Green campaign. One of it says to continue creating awareness in order to cause a change of mindset about the care for the environment. And two, to cooperate with the local governments, NGOs, and other leaders in changing the attitude of the people in Northern Uganda to conserve and use sustainably the environment. Third is to promote a new way of thinking in order to encourage bio-friendly agricultural methods for current consumption and for future generations. And lastly, it is to restore and protect forests. So on that note, this is the main reason why we came up with the Northern Uganda Green Dialogue. I'll give you more in the Go Green itself. I have two ideas to present to you, the partners, and as well our listener. Now, for the continued challenges Northern Uganda continues to face concerning the environment that are created by humans in very many different forms, most notably cutting down trees without replacing. I am sure cutting down trees is not bad. But when we cut, do we replace the ones we cut? That is the big question. So Radio Purchase, having the platform through the different frequencies that I established in West Nile sub-region, that is 90.9 FM in Arua and 94.5 FM also here in Arua, 101.4 FM in Gulu and 104.8 FM, we thought we can make a change in Northern Uganda through our radio. Not only doing a dialogue on 90.9 that is going to be listened around West Nile, we have connected Gulu, we have connected Moyo that can go as far as Gulu also. Gulu goes a little bit farther also, so we can cause a change in the whole of Northern Uganda, not only in West Nile. The wide coverage in different languages we broadcast. And so that means we can cause a big change together with you, our partners, in this fight for the environment. Now, Radio Purchase together with you, our partners, can create this change that we want all together. We offer the platform through our frequencies to bridge the gap between you, the partners. I want to believe all of us here, the partners, and those who are not here, are all working towards changing the environment status quo in West Nile and Northern Uganda and in the country at large. So how can we do this? We are coming up as a bridge between us, the partners, and the people that we want to impact on. The reason we have this dialogue. So allow me to present the two ideas I was talking about. One is the one that has given birth to this dialogue. That is the Northern Uganda, the Go Green campaign for 2022. It has been 4 years that we have done this. I will not go into the details of what Radio Purchase is. Many of us know that. We are a community radio that operates on the vision that radio is a medium that can facilitate the formation of conscience and awareness among listeners to take action. Now, Radio Parties operates on a mission to achieve a holistic development of the community and the individuals within that community. Now, the annual campaign, Go Green, is a Radio Parties innovation that is intended to educate and sensitize the people living in northern Uganda to take action to promote sustainable environment conservation. Well, it has been running for the past 4 years. This is the the fourth year, with a remarkable success, though in the past 2 years we were interrupted by the issues we all know very well, COVID-19. It affected not only us here, but the entire world as well. So we have the Go Green campaign, and the basic idea for us is to create awareness and then to restore forests as well. So we cannot do this alone. We can do it with our partners. As I said earlier on, we are a bridge that connects the partners with the people that we want to impact on. Now, the second one is the Green Run. We intend to have a Green Run in the year 2023. Now, this is an idea. The Green Run is an activity of the Go Green campaign itself, aimed at promoting sustainable environment management using sports with all its benefits of stimulating physical fitness, social cohesion, talent identification, development, and as well restoration of the forest cover of the environment that we have destroyed. So these are the two ideas that I am sharing with your partners who are right here under the tent. Those who invited, but they face challenges, they have not made it here. We also want to push this idea to you as well. Dear moderator, with that, I want to welcome all our partners in this dialogue. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much, Silva. So I am also going to be limiting people in terms of time usage. Yeah. So if I say yours will be 5 minutes, I keep warning. I hope you'll be okay with that. Yes. Now, listener, we will be going to listen to the keynote speaker, and that is Mr. Kalama Taban Asega. He's from UNHCR, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. And he should let us understand why UN declared every 5th of June World Environment Day, what key environment issues should everybody take note of and be involved to mitigate them. So Mr. Kalama, I want to welcome you on the floor, and I'm going to limit you to maximum of 10 minutes, maybe less than that, depending on the discussion. It's Kalama as a keynote speaker.
Thank you, moderator. My name is Tabana Sega Kamala from UNHCR Sub Office Arua, and I'm the alternate multifunctional team member for environment and energy. Apologies from the environment officer, Mr. Gordon, officer. Today is 50 years when this date was declared by the United Nations General Assembly. So if you are 50 years here in this pavilion or listening out there, you are the same age with this important milestone of our human history. I would therefore like to appreciate those of you who are here from government representatives, partners, especially radio parties for organizing this dialogue. About 60% of refugees live in northern Uganda. Refugees being hosted by Uganda, about 60% of them live in northern Uganda. So it's very, very important that we can sit under these situations to dialogue, try to understand what's happening and remind ourselves of actions that should be taken. We are working across the region with different partners under Arua Sub-Office. We've had Danish Refugee Council, Arua District Local Government, Terego District, and Madeo Kole District. Rice Waste Mine, Dam Touch Aid, NFA. NFA is the partner that distributes seedlings. That's following an agreement with UNHCR and government, being a government agency. So key areas of intervention have been generation and distribution of seedlings to partners. We coordinate environment among partners. Because we are familiar with operational and implementing partners that we call them partners. Active participation in managing environmental issues during emergencies. That includes the solid waste management, tree marking, environmental education, among others. We also have tree growing. We can talk of tree planting, but we've had a departure from tree planting to tree growing, because planting, you can plant and leave it there, may not care about what happens next. So tree growing is what we are encouraging, and that is in line with the government. We encourage all partners to do that. Promotion of energy-saving technologies, working with the development partners on electrification and the solarization of facilities like health facilities and water systems. We have dual systems, some having generators, but as a backup, we have installed solar, also street lighting in the settlements amongst the different villages. So from 2017 to date, we have distributed as a rural operation about 3 million assorted seedlings of sometimes indigenous, but also other fast-growing trees and fruit seedlings. And also progressively also distributed over to over 30,000 households energy-saving stoves. These are the Lorena kind of stoves. So this, what I'm going to present, therefore, involves all the partners, as I mentioned earlier, districts, and we're working because of the conducive environment presented by the government of Uganda to host refugees. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests and the panelists, 2022, the theme for the World Environment Day is only one Earth. Now, being only one Earth, and I mentioned earlier, this is the, by the way, this is the same thing which was adopted in 1974 when this date was marked after having been declared in 1972. It was the same thing 48 years ago that is being repeated today. So since we have only one Earth, we therefore need to pay particular attention. And if you can forget, if you will forget all the things that I will say, I would like us to take one or two messages in addition to the others that I have mentioned. One, when we mentioned about the Lorena stove, this energy-saving stove, if every home can depart from the 3 stones that we've had, but use a fixed Lorena stove. Even if I don't use Lorena, but if we can use a fixed, improved stove, not the 3 stone, but the improved version, it will be good. The motto of Radio Parties is peace of Christ for all. Now, if we can have an improved cooking stove in every household in northern Uganda, going across,
there will be peace at home.
There will be peace at home.
Okay.
So that is something that I'd like us to, because it has been established and confirmed by women and the men who cook, that instead of using 5 pieces of firewood using this Lorena stove, you can use a maximum of 3 and the meal is ready. So that reduces on the impact. And the studies continue, probably with improvements, can even come to 2 pieces, and that will save our environment. in all our institutions where there's cooking, if we can adopt improved fixed stoves, Lorena stoves, for that matter, again, we will save a lot of money. It has been proven in examples that we shall cite, which have happened. Maybe my colleagues in Moyo will mention that instead of using maybe 12,000 in an institution to cook, you will use a maximum of 4,000 to buy wood fuel to be able to. So studies are going on, and improvement, probably that will reduce further. So, ladies and gentlemen, the World Environment Day is an annual event commemorated since on 5th of June since 1974. And you realize that alongside these key environmental timelines, there have also been development timelines. We've had the Millennium Development Goals. We've had the Sustainable Development Goals, which are running. Just 2015. In 2015, we have the Paris Climate Agreement, where we are supposed to reduce global warming by 2 degrees to pre-industrial times, or better, by 1.5 degrees. If we can achieve that, it will be so meaningful. Now, what does that? Why is that action important? Because records have shown the Institute for Space Studies, amongst others, for NASA, that is in the United States, and the others have established that the 2016, the year 2016 and 2020 have been the hottest years in recorded history. 2016 and 2020 have been the hottest years in recorded history. So that means if we don't take action now, and we think that there is another world which is still out there is another earth, then we are bound to be doomed.
You have 1 minute. Maybe you can summarize in 1 minute.
Okay.
Good.
Yes. So deforestation in Uganda has been ongoing, and therefore we need action. According to the Uganda Global Forest Watch, Uganda lost 97,000 hectares of tree cover from 2001 to 2021, accounting for 13% tree cover decrease. In terms of primary moist forest, the country lost 71,600 hectares, which is a 14% decrease in the country's tree cover. In West Nile, except Yumbe, lost 8.8% decrease from the year 2000. So these are alarming statistics.
Okay.
Bush burning. Give me 2 additional minutes.
1 minute. Those two may be too many.
Okay. Bush burning. Bush burning in northern Uganda, if we can take action to address bush burning, it will be very, very important. In West Nile alone, there were over 8,000 fire alerts from June 2021 to March 2022, using the visual infrared imagery radio suite. This detects large fires, but if we also included small fire that is out there, probably West Nile would have had 30,000 incidents of fire. So let's address that. Therefore, if we can take action at individual level, office level, to address these issues of climate change, it will be very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kalama. You'll get back when there shall be concerns for you. And we want to go to Gulu Studio and want to go to the area of research. And we have Mr. Awo Arthur in the studio seated in Gulu. Mr. Awo, as I said, the director of the Center for African Research. the scholar of the London School of Economic and Political Science. Now, Mr. O, let's go to you in Gulu, and we'd like to get the version from research, especially what justice or what injustice has been done to our Mother Earth from the perspective of research. I know Mr. Kalama has highlighted some of those components, the statistical data, but let's get more of that from you in 5 minutes, Mr. Awo Arthur. Good morning.
Good morning, Gaetano, and good morning all the panelists in Moyo, Arua, and here in Gulu. I'm very happy to be part of this campaign, and I know that I have only 5 minutes to work with. A very important question that you raise, the whole question of environmental justice in the Acholi sub-region. Now, I am coming from the perspective of research that we've undertaken along with different partners, including Cambridge University, led by Professor Adam Branch, Center for Africa Research, Human Rights Focus, Makerere University, and a number of actors. It is very important for us to state from the beginning that even as we talk about this theme, the great theme that has been generated for this day, Only One Earth, we run a risk of getting to blame the smallholders or small consumers of these products from the environment. And our research demonstrates that it has been a transition from the political violence that we had in the region to a violence that is now transitioning towards the environment. And the risk has always been that the agencies, including the UN agencies and the others, including non-government organizations and even the district governments, I know they'll speak, have always made one mistake. The mistake they've always made is to run away from the politics of what is happening, of what is driving and fueling these environmental conflicts and the violence, and finding it politically comfortable to always rush towards dealing with the small consumers or the users. So they always run away from tackling the big perpetrators, including the military, including the huge economic elites who come from Kampala, including the regional dynamics, because they are connected. Northern Uganda is connected to South Sudan. We have been reading in the news reports and also from our research that what happens in Northern Uganda affects what happens in Southern Sudan. Now, the border regions of Equatoria region, bordering areas around Moyo, are all in one complex. So the issues are actually also cross-border. So it is important for us that even as we get to deliberate on this important theme, let us not forget the big perpetrators. I also want to state here that as a remedy, they've always found it easier to run to primary schools and, pick out all these peoples to go and begin planting trees. But you're leaving out these big destroyers who come and they're looking for the valuable tree species. They're buying the tree species at about 60,000 shillings. They're exporting them to Vietnam, to India, and to other countries in dollars, in thousands of dollars. So we seem to be missing the point here. And if we don't do that, then it's going to be difficult for us to actually get the justice of the environment. Now, Gaetano, allow me to also state here that what we are witnessing is a transition from the political violence into a slow violence of the environment. And this is actually going to affect us in many years to come if we don't get to address it. Also in Northern Uganda, we have seen different patterns and trends. We have now lost in the war towards illegal logging of our valuable tree species, including bayo, the bayo or Africana frisella. It's now going towards extinction. Areas around Lamuo, areas around Palaro, and also here, areas around Amoro. We are now seeing, and that one, the pattern has always been that where there is a lot of money involved, you find the military getting to drive that process. In the areas where there is no money, or the money is actually of a low value, you see that it's just an issue of money changing hands amongst the police and some other actors. The other point I want to state here is that the element of cultural justice, our trees, including the Shiana trees around the belts, around Agago, are now being destroyed. I am happy that cultural leaders have picked up the mantle from us, who are the activists and researchers, and they're now taking on these people head on. You find people establishing camps of people who are not registered. About 100 workers come from all the way around Nakasongola, Eastern Uganda, and different areas, and they're setting camps in districts District leaders do not know about their existence, and they're living in there. You find some cases of rape being reported. They're also using child labor, and they're doing all sorts of things. And the leaders do not know even of their existence in those areas. We had an opportunity to visit the camps somewhere in Obulaira, that's in Agago district, and found this camp of people being led by very errant men like Master, this popular man called Master, who was involved in charcoal production. And I'm happy that we worked with the RDC, who I thought would be here, Mr. Nyuk. But we tried to control the situation. So it is very important for us to sort of like categorize the kind of things that are actually happening in order for us to get the target right. I must say the fight has been on. We have been working together with the Joint Acholi Sub-Regional Leaders Forum to come up with what we call the Acholi Technical Working Committee on Charcoal to produce one ordinance that the entire Acholi sub-districts can actually use as a template in order for us to respond to the challenges. Now, the gentleman from UNHCR mentioned something very important about tree growing. For us, the approach is talking about charcoal farming. Charcoal farming is a new concept that is embedded in this ordinance that I'm happy Kitgum District Local Government has passed, and the entire Acholi sub-districts are now going to follow suit. It's a very innovative way of trying to look at the situation and the challenge, and we think through charcoal farming, we are now going to turn what you call the charcoal industry in Acholi to the Acholi charcoal industry. The charcoal industry in Acholi to the Acholi charcoal industry, meaning the locals will now engage in the process to drive the process to ensure that most of the proceeds in the charcoal value chain that has been leaving the district will now accrue to them. They'll be leading the process, they'll be on top of the process, and the districts have actually embraced this ordinance, and I think it's just going to be one of the innovative ways to try and tackle the problem. I think, Gaetano, for now, I can end there.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. War Arthur. War Arthur is a researcher. That's the perspective from research. And I want to take it up from there. Let's cross to Moyo and let's listen to Mr. Asosi. Well, I should say Honorable Asosi JB. He is the Secretary for Natural Resources, Moyo District. Maybe a quick correction to a name here. The gentleman from UNHCR is Kamala Taban Asega. Apologies, I was saying that as Kalama. All right, thank you very much. As I get to the Secretary for Natural Resources, we have been joined here by Mr. Felix Adima from Dan Church Aid. Dan Church Aid is also one of the sponsors of this dialogue. You're most welcome, Dan Church Aid. All right, now let's go to Honorable Asosi JB. Asosi, I want you to pick up from Mr. War Arthur that district leaders do not know their existence. But let's pick it up from how the local governments are proactive on matters of environment, plus how Moyo District strives to be a model district on matters of the environment. I will also expect you to respond to the concern that local governments have prioritized taxes on charcoal burners, on these truck drivers as part of their local revenue, and that seems to be causing agony to our environment. How come local governments are getting local revenue from charcoal burners and those transporting charcoal in terms of taxes? Yes, Honorable Asosi, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much, my brother Gaetano, my senior journalist, and all my colleagues, panelists, and listeners of this program. First of all, allow me to thank the organizers of this dialogue meeting. It is a very good one, and it is going to help us a lot. In Moyo, I want to begin by saying that as a local government, we have approved what we call district forestry development plan. Are you getting it?
Yes, please. Please.
Yeah. Please. I'm saying as a local government, yeah, Yeah,
I know politicians talk a lot. We're going to.
I'll try my best. In Moyo district, we have approved 5 years district forest development plan, which is in place. It is aimed at protecting our environment. In Moyo, we have a program what we call community tree planting, which is being supported by NFA. And also, we have a program which is the UNHCR support in partnership with NFA. Under these two programs, communities request for seedlings, and we provide seedlings for communities that are interested in tree planting. Not only that, we also go on radio, we go in communities to sensitize communities about the importance of tree growing, as said by my brother Taban Aseka Kamala. Aware that tree growing is an individual responsibility. That is what we are promoting in Moyo. That aside, we have also continued to educate and sensitize communities in a new program which is coming in place, covering 14 districts in Uganda, spearheaded by FAO. In northern Uganda, we have at least 9 districts that are benefiting from this program. It covers Noya, Amuro, Gulu, Lamo, Kitugum, Ajumane, Moyo, Obonyi, and Yumbe districts. That is one other program we are currently undertaking. The main objective is to mitigate negative environmental, social, and economic impacts resulting from charcoal production. This is the key. You mentioned something about charcoal production. I must admit that in Moyo, locals have taken charcoal burning as a source of income. You will see that school-going children are going to the bush for this program. So this program, which I'm talking about, we expect a change because there are about 4 activities under this program. One is to make people who are going to engage in this charcoal burning to have it in a sustainable manner. And one other activity is the rehabilitation of the natural forests on private land.
Maybe if you can help us on the sustainable manner you just mentioned.
Yeah, the sustainable manner is a sustainable harvesting and management of woodlands for charcoal production. By this I mean the communities who are going to be supported will be given a killing which is not going to cause much destruction as far as charcoal harvesting is concerned. This is a new project, a new innovation that Ministry of Water and Environment has initiated. And Moyo is a beneficiary to this project. My belief is that with the coming of these other projects, definitely we are going to address the issues of destroying of our environment. Of course, this calls for collective efforts, one of which is we are in the process of also coming up with the ordinance, which of course is a long process. In the Moyo District Council, we resolved that we need to decentralize our actions to the sub-counties because these are service centers. We all hail from sub-counties. There is no leader without sub-county.
In 1 minute.
So,
in 1 minute.
Yeah. So what we are currently doing is to empower sub-counties to come up with ordinances such that we can improve on the level of destruction, we can improve on the level of planting more trees. Mr. Tabani talked about planting trees. Planting trees is another one, but also how do we maintain this? In Moyo District, we realize that in most times when it comes to dry season, bush burning is on increase. And for that, we are now formulating ordinances and bylaws to curb what I call.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Honorable, maybe I give you one more minute. The concern of local revenue coming from taxes on charcoal. That sustainable bit you are talking about may not be upheld and adhered to by most communities. But where we're having local governments taxing and getting local revenue from charcoal, how can the earth be safe?
I want to say that in Moyo district, we don't have big trucks coming to carry bags of charcoal from Moyo district to other districts. Unlike when you're going to Kampala, you see big trucks moving with the bags of charcoals. That is not the case in Moyo district.
But charcoal is sold on Moyo markets.
In Moyo market, you'll hardly get charcoals. You will see a farmer bringing one bag of charcoal or two to the market. So it is hardly to say a farmer selling 20 bags above in a market. That is not there. And of course, we all know items sold in a market, whether being one bag or two, you get a local revenue out of it. So we are not really depending on the natural resources where we get the local revenue. That is not correct.
All right. Thank you very much for that clarification, Honorable Associate. Let's cross back to Gulu before we get back here to Arua. And we are going to listen to the Member of Parliament for Clark South, also the Shadow Minister for East African Community, an activist on matters of environment, Honorable Gilbert Olanya. Gilbert Olanya, let's get to you on both the local and national perspective. But more interestingly, how far activism is keeping safe our natural resources in northern Uganda. Okay. Honorable.
Gaetano.
Yes.
Honorable is here to join us. Maybe we can first hear from the RDC Omoro, who is with us, to give us his take.
Okay, now before we get back to RDC Omoro, let's get back here to Arua, and then we'll go back to the RDC for Omoro. Now, let's go to the refugee settlement, and the person of OPM is right here, and that is Mr. Juicy Pascal. Juicy Pascal, let's have you on the podium. Juicy, there has been reported, should I say, mess, or I don't know, menace caused to the environment. And this is said to be by refugees. Well, you could say, okay, they have no option. They want to cook, so they have to go to look for the firewood. They want to put up some shelter. Okay, the surrounding trees have to face the ground. But I mean, is this deliberate? That environment is being endangered where the refugees are settling? Plus, tell us the local, well, now you will tell us the local situation on environment in the refugee settlements and how you as OPM plus the partners are to the task of keeping our environment safe, including what alternatives. I know the person of UNHCR mentioned some of those, but there's been this big concern about the environment where the refugees are settled, I just say. We can give you 7 minutes.
Yes, thank you. Once again, moderator, my name is Pascal. I'm the settlement commander in MVP, and I've been in the refugee program for some 20 years plus. The refugee program or regime is inevitable because Abu talked about the unrest in the world. The country started receiving refugees in 1942, and that has been the trend. The greatest number has been between 2013 to 2016. Now, as we talk, we have 1.5 of them, in 1.450 in Uganda. Out of these 40,000 stay in cities. The rest are staying in settlements. We have 15 districts that hold refugees. For our region, we are close to 500,000. And in Vepi, there are 73,000. Let's say Rhino Camp, there are 120,000. Bilibili 240, and Ulubule is 5,000 plus. And they are settled in the villages, the sub-counties, alongside the host community. And along other side, the socio-economic activities, they must use the environment to sustain their living. Now, deliberately, the program is under the settlement transformation agenda. Pillar number 4 talks about environmental restoration. And there are programs, very deliberate programs to restore the environment. Forest environment is both the fauna and the flora. We are concentrating on the vegetation cover, but others, we all know. And therefore, this program has so many partners, including the district local government. Out of the 15,000 NGOs in Uganda, 200 are in the refugee settlement, and some of them have environmental restoration programs as a cross-cutting issue. Programming. We have COICHA, FIFOC, NFA, that is PPA, what we call pattern project agreement with UNHCR to supply 5 million tree seedlings in the next 5 years. And then with the districts, we have integration program where the UNHCR gives funding to the districts for restoration of environment. Very standout activities to restore environment are like we must control the refuse management and the deliberate partners like DCA, Danish Church Aid, that clean the settlements of unwanted refuse, biodegradable and the like. We have constructed crash pools, floods, and of course equipped in terms of vehicles to drain the sludge and the like in all the settlements. The type of latrines, we have drainable pit latrines, lavatories, and toilets. So a lot is being done to we know the damage. You use the word mess, but it was an inevitable necessity. Father will tell us necessity necessity has no law, but we don't go that way.
You did not plan for the budget for the what you are calling as inevitable.
So ours is now to address the damage caused, which was inevitable, and we are gladly addressing it, Mr. Moderator. Taban talked of the energy saving stores. We have garbage tins. We have what it takes to maintain the environmental side. Yeah, what it takes, they will tell us to have the environment clean. I want to say 89.6% of the households have, for example, pit latrines in their home states, so there is no open defecating. If you do open defecation, think the environmental side here, what it will result into. We have made deliberate efforts for households to have pit latrines. And all institutions have it. All institutions, I can stand by my words. All institutions have toilets and
in the refugee settlement.
Yes, in the refugee settlement. And by the way, we have also a 30% intervention in the host communities around the host sub-county.
That 30% has in the past been queried by the host.
Yes.
They are not seeing the 30%.
I think the 30% should not be felt in a way that each host community, household or member should be able to experience it or enjoy it.
How is the 30% reflected?
If you have $8,000, for example, for Lorena stores or pit latrines at institutional level, the 70% of that $8,000 would go to address the environmental issues within the settlement. Then the 30% is used among the host community, the sub-county, or the parishes that are hosting refugees. That's how it is. And you will agree with me, like Yumbe district has 500,000 people, and therefore 30% of a small amount of money cannot be felt in the entire Yumbe district. You know it. Terego is about 300, is it 400 something population, 1,000 of host community. And by the way, 30% is negligible. But with the time, the refugee program is going to be here for some time.
Okay.
And therefore,
does that 30% also apply to food?
No, food is an exception. Out of the very many, I want to be very honest with you, out of the very many interventions, food is an exception.
Okay.
Health, drugs, name it. All the host communities around the host communities are free to enjoy it except food, because that is the policy agreed by the World Food Program and the government. That food must go to the people meant for, to whom they are meant for, the POCs. Why? Because it should encourage, the reason is to encourage production at the host level.
Okay.
If we end up giving
in 1 minute, summarize.
I want to say one key standout is we are going to establish a gas production unit in Rhino Camp and in Mvepi that will produce the raw materials and the refuse and the rubbish and the others, which will develop a plant where to produce gas people will buy. That's one example of cleaning the environment of the refuse. Right from Yumbe up to Rhino Camp, that factory will produce gas. That's one standout plan. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. That was Mr. Ajusi Pascal. He is the settlement commandant for Mvepi refugee settlement. Mvepi is a host, is home to over 60,000 refugees. 73,000 refugees are sitting right here in Mvepi refugee settlement located in Terego district. Now it is a Terego district. So what used to be called Arua has gone into other districts, Terego and Mariokolo districts. Now let's go to the studio in Gulu, and we are going to listen to the RDC Omoro district, Mr. Onyuk Andrew. Now, Mr. Onyuk.
Hello. Yeah, you're loud and clear, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Yes, protection of the environment from the perspective of what is happening in Omoro district. Yes, RDC, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, the moderator over there. And I want to thank all the colleagues who are here with me in the studio in Gulu, Radio Passes. To begin with, the issues regarding protection of the environment is well articulated in Article 245 of the Constitution, which provide that Parliament shall by law provide for measures intended to protect and preserve the environment from abuse, pollution, and degradation. And then also, Parliament should also provide for that law which will manage the environment for sustainable development. And also that the same law should provide and promote environmental awareness. So that means government has a very strong positions on the environmental destruction and degradation, which is guided by what the law says. Yes, environmental destruction and degradation has become a very serious issue. You can look at it along line of wetland encroachment, contamination of water sources. The cutting down, deforestation is taking place at a very uncontrollable measures. All these will water down the beauty of the hearts that we live in, because the environment is actually
responsible for the lung and for the air, for everything that we breathe in. And this is a measure that we need to stand up as a country and as humanity to ensure our environments are not destroyed the way it is currently turning to be. Of course, you see, when we talk about the environment, the concerns even begin from mere bush burning. You see, the bush burning practices are so rampant. Yet we even have the law in place, the Prohibition of the Burning of Grass Act, which is Cap 33, which is very clear that the burning of grass by any person is prohibited in all areas of Uganda, except under authority and under the supervision of a specified officers, such as parish chiefs and those others. Now, when you look at what is currently happening on our environments, I think it is a matter of concern for all humanity. How did we get this environment, and how shall we leave this environment for the people that would come after us? When you ask such question, then you see that there is a lot that we need to answer, because the level at which people are cutting down trees and burning charcoals is actually going out of proportion. I thank my brother Owohata, who has been also citing some of the practical problems that we had in places like in Agago, where the issues of cutting down some of these protected species like the Sienna tree, the Beo trees, which now is having markets in other countries, and some of these trees are now extinct. And what are we doing as a human being who lives and who got this thing here? Are we going to leave what we got in this world? If we don't rise up and defend our environment, we are bound to have everything extinct and spoiled. Of course, I know development is destructive to environment, because where there is development, there are certain trees, certain areas will be destroyed from its natural being. But how do we counter balance such kind of practice? I have personally been thinking in a very radical ways. First of all, I also blame the way at which we actually bury the dead. Now, if you look at it, how we bury the dead, yes, it is important to give them a befitting send-off. But now, if you look at how we actually put in concrete in burying our deads, our dead people, if you calculate the surface area of that hut, which we have denied it natural ways of gaining the soil level, and you calculate that surface area and you multiply by the number of graves, we might find that about 2 districts in Uganda is completely a burial ground without any hut activity taking place. So some of these things need policies. Government should come up with policies, because it is very clear, as human beings, we are hearts, and when we die, we should actually contribute to the heart system. And then, in fact, we came to this world and we found there were people who lived before in this world, but we have never seen their concrete grave made everywhere. If they were to do like that, we would be lacking where to bury our people. So we need to take a deliberate move in how to preserve and protect our environment from the direction of the degradation where we are headed. Because now, look, if every place in this country is to be now developed with permanent structures, where shall we have the ecosystem taking place? Because the heart is limited, but the number of human beings are increasing, of course. So sometimes the way we come and we handle what is on this heart is actually contributing to a permanent and irreparable destruction and degradation to the environment. But the environment is very, very vital for our life on this heart. The environment is the hearts that make us all live healthy in this world.
All right. Thank you very much, RDC. We'll get back when they will have questions.
Definitely questions already flowing here. Listener, the participation from you is through text message, and the SMS line you used to use for sending that message is 0393 273252. For this particular dialogue, it is 0393 273252. We'll still stay with the Gulu studio. We are going to hear from the LOC5 of Moro district. And listener, for purpose of reminder, if you have just joined, this is a Northern Uganda Green Dialogue, and it is anchored on major environment concerns in Northern Uganda, and the guests are responding to key environment challenges and remedy to those challenges. This dialogue is sponsored by Omia Agro Business, the biggest farm input dealers in West Nile. They are located in Arua City along Rheineken Road in Arua City. And also have West Nile foresters, dealers in all seedlings in West Nile. We also have Dan Church Aid as part of the sponsors of this dialogue. We want to appreciate them. And we have different stakeholders, NGOs. We have the local government. We have UNHCR here, the Office of the Prime Minister right here for this dialogue. The 2022 World Environment Day the theme is Only One Us. And it is focusing on living sustainably in harmony with nature, and is calling for collective transformative action to celebrate, protect, and restore our planet Earth. And this dialogue is on Radio Purchase 90.9, 101.4 FM in Gulu, 104.8 FM in Moyo. My name is Gaetano Apamaku, the moderator. Now, let's go to the LC5 chairperson of Amoru district, and that's Honorable Lacogne Michael. Okay, I get a message. He's still on the way. Yes, he will be able to join us for this particular dialogue. But we can stay with the person still in Gulu. That is Lillian Piloya Dora Lillian. Lillian is an advocate of the High Court of Uganda, a gender rights activist, legal officer for FIDA Gulu, and also an associate partner at Awino Openg. Well, Lillian, let's go to you. You are privy to the law. Tell us how best the Mother Earth can be safer from the perspective of the law, but also from the perspective of activism.
Thank you so much, Gaetano. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to give you a legal insight on how best we can enjoy our environment. Now, if you look at from the legal perspective, one, under the Constitution, it's actually everybody's right to live in a clean and healthy environment. That is provided for under Article 39 of the Constitution. And then when you go to Article 245, it gives Parliament the mandate to come up with laws that will help into the protection and then the promotion of the environmental rights of the people of Uganda, and also will help in the management of the environment. And in regards to that, the Parliament has come up with several laws. That is, number one is the National Environment Act of currently now there is an amendment. So we have the National Environment Act of 2009. We have the National Forestry and Tree Planting Act of 2003. So just a brief insight into the National Environment Act of 2009. When you go through that act, it will give you a lot of things. One of it is the environmental management by the urban and district councils. So when you go into that, it gives them the mandate and then the responsibilities to come up with the laws and then with the management. It also goes ahead and then put a responsibility on the district leaders to come up with a district environment and natural resource committee. And in the committee, it should be comprised of the district chairperson, members of parliament from the district, the resident district commissioner, the secretary for the environment, the district natural resource officer, who shall also be the secretary, the chief administrative officer, the district engineer, the town clerk, the mayors, the district planners, and then the physical planning officer, the community developers. Why do you think the Act brings in all these people? Now, these are the people who are actually can coordinate all these activities by sensitizing the people. And by sensitization, I mean, you see, we are all talking about the environment is being degraded, but then we are not tackling the root cause of the degradation. There are communities that have actually interacted with, they will tell you, we cannot afford to buy gas. And in any case, there are some communities like, doing my work, I interact more with women. They will tell you, we don't even know what a gas cylinder is. So our basic source of energy is firewood. But then the leaders in the district, or maybe with NEMA, they have never come up to these communities and then to sensitize them that when you cut a tree, you're supposed to plant. And then maybe if you cut one, why don't you plant 2 or 3 to replace the one you've cut? That is something that has not been done. And I have never heard anywhere that I've gone that the district leaders are actually doing the sensitization. The chairman for, is it Moyo? The district chairperson for Moyo is here. Sorry?
He's the Secretary for Natural Resources, Moyo.
Yes, I think he's going to highlight us more on that, on what initiative they've actually done. And then when you go under the National Forestry and Tree Planting Act, under Section 39, it provides for tree planting and growing. But then, let's be realistic. In our communities where we are living in, personally, I have never come across any initiative where they're saying, okay, we are going to do the tree planting and then the rest of it. And still, it gives the mandate on the district council. That is, they're supposed to issue a directive. And in the directives, they're supposed to issue, one of them should be the persons who should undertake in the tree planting. That is one. The frequency of planting the trees. And then the specification of the trees that are supposed to be planted, the days on which the trees are supposed to be planted, the areas in which the trees are supposed to be planted. And it has never been done. Personally, from Gulu, I have never witnessed any. And still in the Act also, it provides for the tree fund. And the tree fund basically is supposed to be generated from money appropriated by Parliament. I'm happy Honorable Member of Parliament is here. He will definitely deliberate on that. There are also loans that are supposed to be obtained basically by government for planting those trees. There are grants and gifts that are supposed to be given also. I am also happy that we have a representative of the UN. Maybe after here, they will look into that, maybe giving us donations in our respective districts that we will also do the sensitization, and then we see if we can also plant those trees. And then I must also say under the National Environment Act, which creates the NEMA. And we all know the functions of NEMA, that is, they're supposed to coordinate in these activities to ensure that our environments are very okay. But as we are talking now, I'm seeing people like we're a little bit diverted and then we are trying to focus on the trees, leaving aside the wetlands. I think if you see the wetlands, there are wetlands that when I was growing up, it was really a huge wetland. You would see the papyrus trees everywhere. But currently, if you go there, you're not going to see any single dot of a papyrus tree. And then, surprisingly, when you go there, you will only see the NEMA markstone put there, and they're not doing this enforcement. And it's not that NEMA is not aware. We have the district leaders, we have the cows, we have the RDCs. I think probably they are not empowered, or they don't see it as a necessity to protect the wetlands. But then you see, to me, the fight of this go green, and then the rest of it starts by protecting the wetlands. Because if the wetlands are not protected, how are the trees we are going to plant? How will they survive? Where are we going to get the rains? And because of that, we are going to see an outbreak of famine, because the crops we are planting, they are not yielding. So I think, as we are also discussing, it would have also been best also to tackle the achievements and how NEMA is enforcing all that. I think for now I can stop there. Maybe I will also come back with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lillian, for those deliberations. Yes, also for bringing the element of wetlands. Without wetlands, that can also be dangerous to what we are talking about as tree planting. All right, thank you very much. Let's get back here, and I would like to get the CEO for Civil Society Network in West Nile, and that is Mr. Feni Tribe, in 5 minutes. Feni, from the perspective of civil society organizations, how do we see the future in terms of the safer environment? Not only thinking about trees, but thinking about the different natural resources that beautify our environment. Plus, also how relevant really has your network been to the
Thank you very
environment?
much, Mr. Gatano, and also the previous speaker spoke. I want to thank you for organizing this. I want to start by saying I sometimes have a challenge when we are discussing issues to do with the environment. Because I think, as my brother from Gulu, the researcher, did say, let's look at it holistically. And we shouldn't go to soft targets and say maybe family members and so forth and so forth. We know the truth. The truth is environmental issues, anything that has a commercial interest always attract interest of other people who perhaps could have been necessary in protecting environment. Now, let's look at the budget allocation that we have. I'm told Maria Okolo is supposed to be here. I don't know if they're here. Maria Okolo this financial year allocated around 172 million for natural resource department.
Out of how much?
I'm talking about natural resources. Around, pardon?
How much is that budget?
No, I think the budget is around, is it 29 billion? If I'm not mistaken. I beg to be corrected. So for water, around 772 million that they allocated. Now, our sister did talk about formation of all these committees at district level. So all these committees function when there is resources there. For as long as the resources are not going to be there, I can assure you, people will lose interest in them. Myself, I've been appointed. I've got several appointments on some of these committees at the district level, but I've never been called for some of the meetings because the resources are not attached to it. In 2019, I was a member of LED, Local Economic Development. I got the appointment letter up to now. I don't know when the meetings are taking place because they are not there, because the resources are not there. But as long as the resources are not there, things will be in trouble. And we're looking at, the issue is not the issue of laws. We have sufficient the laws in place and policies in place, but the issue is enforcement. I can assure you, for as long as we are not going to zero on the issue of enforcement, it's going to be a challenge. We've been crying about the issue of Zoga forest going down. What is the issue? The issue is all about enforcement. Our colleagues are putting a lot of friends of Zoka and others are putting spirited fight to stop that. But because there are people who probably don't listen to them and they think
there is economic viability to it, other than protecting it for future use, it is going. We're talking about the issue of K forest, and it is going. We're talking about the issues of the wetland encroachment, which is a key issue, because I come from Madi, Okolo district. And perhaps it could not be there as much as it could be elsewhere. But with the time, I know it will go there. The issue of the in-house and so forth. So we need to talk at it holistically and also see how we can do it better. Now, Gatano, to me, it is very relevant. You see, if you don't leave the selfishness we have, as of now, the current generation we have, our future generation will be in trouble. Because as of now, if you look at the way famine is I think in Somalia and some parts of Kenya and elsewhere, people are suffering. UNHCR with the time will even run out from money because these things will be everywhere where the issue of climate change becomes real. We are looking at the issues of where now we have a lot of floods. For example, I come from Madiokolo. There are floods in Obongi. Even the mosque where we used to pray, we would time have to relocate because the mosque in Obongi is literally sometimes surrounded in the water. So the issue is becoming real. So we need to address this issue holistically. Yes, I accept the issue of us saying that we need to come up with the solutions within the families and so forth. But for as long as these things still have some financial attachment, the economic bit of it, the very powerful people are going to come to it and will do little about it. The only thing is let's make noise. Those who think they have the powers to disorganize us, let's rally and say no to it. Whether you're an army officer, whether you're a politician, whether you're who, for as long as you are doing something wrong, all of us must stand up to say that is wrong. And we must all talk to it.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, Feni Tribe. Just a quick one here on Zoka. What you mentioned, Francis from Obongi is saying top government officials are the ones destroying Zoka forest. And he says the local person is arrested, but those who use the guns are left to do what they want. Is the whole thing not planned by local people? Planned by the local people? What can we do to stop this act? Okay, that's Zoka. You mentioned Zoka bit, and the locals there are all pointing fingers to government officials. Those who have escorts that have guns, the locals are saying are the problem to Zoka forest. Okay, now let's cross to Moyo, and we are going to listen to Charles Mawadri. He is the Director of Programs at Global M, a partner for environmental conservation. Mawadri, your colleague Associate mentioned certain things, just maybe to corroborate some of the statements he made. But let's hear about the local environment issues where you are working in Moyo. How safe is Moyo district? Are the communities in Moyo? How safe is our environment? Because if anything happens in Moyo, us here in Arua City will be in trouble. Mawadri, in 5 minutes.
Yeah, thank you so much, the moderator and other colleagues who are for this talk show. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for inviting me for this and also being part of the discussion how we can protect our environment. When I look critically, Uganda is said to be the Pearl of Africa. And that's basically because of the environment we have. We have fresh water, we have the natural resources, we have fresh food and all that. That's why we are called the Pearl of Africa. But we are seeing that gradually we are losing that if we don't really act. I'd like to thank our Secretary for Environment and Natural Resources. I would agree with most of what he has said. When you look at Moyo generally, the tree cover, if we talk in terms of trees, is okay. However, we have challenges. There are some of the wetlands which are somehow disappearing because of encroachment here and there. We are losing it gradually. Of course, he mentioned of us not having trucks which are carrying charcoal, and so that one is true. However, when you come in the evening in Moyo town, you will find trucks parked at the police and you will ask, where are these trucks going? So I think there's a challenge of logging which is said to be taking place in our neighborhood in South Sudan. But we realize that sometimes if your neighbor coughs, you may also catch that cold there. So that's a very big problem, which is taking place. So that one needs to be taken note of. Otherwise, in terms of tree cover, the people in Moyo really tried their best to ensure that they plant trees. And when you're in Moyo, generally, you will feel a change. Like if you cross from Ajumani to Moyo, you'll always realize that change in the evening hours and so forth. Of course, we do also work in Ajumani. The concerns, of course, are quite enormous there. I'll just also highlight it briefly. But for Moyo, the other challenge that I'm seeing also, which is related to our environment, is the issue of poor waste disposal in the town, especially. When you go behind Lenze petrol station, there's the rubbish is really not well disposed. But I was informed that the district has acquired some land around the area there where they're going to create a waste disposal place, which we feel that should be really taken serious of. Otherwise, much as we still have the tree cover in the Moyo, I think much still needs to be done, because even the ones which are existing recently, there are some people who came with the trucks to find the ticks that had been planted were being cut for sale and so forth. So we really feel that something needs to be done. Good enough radio purchase, the NFA with support from UNSR. This sort of trees are taking place, which is a good work. But we need attitude change, especially through awareness creation. The messaging should be continuous and consistent. I would feel that we can do that, especially right from schools, so that the young ones who are growing should grow up knowing that the environment is very important, so that whoever in the future tries to interfere with it can be dealt with accordingly. Right. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mawandri. Yeah. Some of the concerns you brought up there, if your colleagues Asosi can respond to them quickly. Poor waste disposal in Moyo. Also, the damage still being caused to the wetlands in Moyo there. What Lillian mentioned as local governments are not sensitizing the communities, whether on the radio or in the communities, those barazas that Office of the Prime Minister had introduced, as well as this bit of tree planting is a mystery. Associate.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Gaetano, once again, and listeners outside there. On the issue of poor waste management, I concur with my brother, Mr. Malby Charles. Indeed, when you see the planning of Moyo Town Council, it was by then, I think, for about 5-6 million people. The population kept on growing and the land size remained as it is. So you realize that people are even settling along valleys and so on. So it is a challenge for us. I want to inform the listeners that Moyo Town Council, together with the district, acquired a piece of land, as you said, and we are developing that land for proper waste management. And because of that, as a local government, we have also decided that we should relocate our district headquarters to at least a place which is spacious, such that we replan our town, management of waste becomes easier. And on the issue of the illegal logging, of course, I call it, there is no logging which is illegal. Minister wrote a circular in 2017, December, that the types of trees which my colleague from Gulu mentioned is that cutting auxiliary trees and sear nut trees are prohibited. But honestly, you will see that these trucks coming from neighboring countries, South Sudan, passes here. You will see sometimes people get into even our forestries, even within Moyo, cutting these trees, you know, unnoticed, and these people move. So you will wonder, this is something which is we are fighting for, and honestly, in Moyo, when you see Moyo, Moyo is green, people have embarked. You come to the town, you will see that sometimes it is hard even to see houses easily. That means the environment here is protected, but there are few who are still trying to destroy the natural resources in the bushes and so on. That is why I'm saying we have embarked on, and I want to also say, in Moyo, we have sister radio stations. It is not true that the local government leaders do not sensitize the communities. In Moyo, we have sister radio stations. There is a program, what we call Fix My Community, where communities raise concerns for development, and we go and respond to these issues. We provide information on a weekly basis. So we are, in other words, our people are well informed, but we are not stopping there. We are moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Associate. Get back for some of the concerns. Now, let's go to Honorable Lacoin Michael. He is the LC5 chairperson for Amur District. I mean, Honorable, you hold the highest position in Amur District as the chairman LC5.
Gaetano.
Let's listen to you on why there are still these long trucks loaded with the charcoal. I think coming from your area, Amur, plus you will tell us the local situation of the environment. How safe our environment is in Amur, and what strategies the local government of Amur has to safeguard the environment, the different natural resources that are in the district of Amur. Yes.
Okay, Gaetano.
Yes.
Thank you. I would like to appreciate the previous speakers. The LC5 is yet to join us. Let's give time to the area MP of Kelak South, Gilbert Olanya, who will be giving us the overview. How is the percentage of environmental degradation in Amuro is right with us.
All right. Thank you very much. We hope Lacoin will be able to join the discussion.
Yeah.
To the perspective from that bit of the local government. Okay, we're going to listen to Honorable Olanya. The other correction I'm getting from Penny Tribe is Madio Kolo District's budget for the next financial year is 24 billion and not 29 billion shillings. But out of the 24, is it 172 million for natural resources? Not even a billion out of the 24 billion. So somebody could say this is injustice. I don't know. I don't know. But maybe the district of Made Okolo has a better version of that. We had invited the DFO, the district forest officer here. I'm not saying him. But let's go to Honorable Gilbert Olanya. I mean, he's the member of parliament for Kelak South, the shadow minister for East African community. Now, Honorable, we want to get from you, from the perspective of parliament, especially budget for natural resources, if our environment has to be safe, how parliament has been interested in the environment, but also from the perspective of Acholi sub-region and northern Uganda at large, how activism is keeping our environment safe. We have some of the game reserves, the game reserves. We are talking about Zoka, people are already complaining. Ajay Game Reserve, people are complaining about the trees there. It seems there's something to do with activism. How far activism can be to keeping our forests or the natural resources, the forests, what we call also the swamps, safe in northern Uganda. Honorable Gilbert, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, my brother. In a special way, I would like to thank Radio Passist. I think this is the first of its kind, whereby we are debating, covering all the districts of West Nile and the Acholi. I would like to appreciate you, and I pray for the good Lord to continue protecting you. On that note, looking at the environment, in fact, environment is everything.
If we don't take care of our environment, I am telling you, we are most likely to become like part of South Sudan. We shall go to a desert situation, and our people may suffer. And if you look at what is going on currently, you may shed tears. You may think that we are living in another planet, not on Earth. I would like to appreciate our ancestors. Our grandparents were so wise. If you look at other species of trees, our grandparents were taking good care of such kind of trees. That is why when we grow up, we found some big trees that lasted almost 100+ years. They were preserving them, taking care of them, and they were looking at it that no one cuts them down. But currently, we are going astray. At the perspective of Parliament, in the 10th Parliament, we discussed seriously about environment protection. And we came up with very, very good resolutions. As somebody alluded in from Moyo, the enforcement, putting our resolutions into work is a tug of war. One of the resolutions that we passed on the floor of Parliament is that the industry that is using charcoal to produce steels in Ginger, that industry must be closed. I am telling you, we have an industry in Ginger that uses charcoal. And that industry was chased away from Kenya. Kenyans discovered that it's quite hard to sustain such kind of industry. They chased them away from Kenya, and now they are based in Uganda, in Ginger. And if you look at the charcoals that are going through Kampala to Ginger, lorries, truck and truck loaded almost every day. Most of those trucks, upon reaching Kampala, they are directed straight to Ginger where the industry is. So now, as a country, if we welcome such kind of industries, do you think in 20, 30 years, shall we still be having big trees in our area? Because the demand is too high, and they're paying at a very fair price compared to local people down here. So the business is so lucrative. That is why many of our people, especially from the central and part of eastern Uganda, those one who knows business, now they're doing business with our people in Amoro. If you come to our Amoro, those people, they come, they buy lands in terms of hectares, they pay cash, and they start falling those trees. In some 2 to 3 months, you will see the place become so bare. All trees are fell down purposely for charcoal. So the situation is really so alarming. And if you go to our place Amoro, at the Joka, the one in the side of Apa, somebody talk about big people cutting down dogs. And I would like to say it's very true. You find big people cutting down big logs, and they are being escorted by our UPDF, sometimes by police of Uganda, well armed, and you cannot ask them. The district authorities have no power to ask them. Whenever you stop them, you, the DPC, or the security personnel concerned within the district, you'll be transferred immediately. So it means there's some big power somewhere. The RDCs, they have no power because this issue is above them. Whenever you stop, you ask, you'll be questioned, and if you are not serious, you'll be transferred immediately, or you fail to maintain your job. So there's some big powers behind these people. If we need to preserve our environment, I think we need to change our attitudes. That's why we are discussing on the floor of Parliament that we need to come up with the policies, and the policies must be backed by the goodwill of the executives. You know, sometimes as Parliament we discussed the executives to implement, and the implementation is totally poor. No one is interested. Right now in Uganda, power lies in the hand of very few individuals. If you have guns, you have money, you control everything. You can cut trees the way you want, You can cut logs the way you want, which is very dangerous. I am happy that the RDC is here, and many of our people were trying to give in their view. So the enforcement, the implementation is very poor in this country.
Okay. All right. Honorable, we'll get back to you, but quickly, let's go to your colleague just to respond to that concern. Banara DC, Honorable Gilbert raises that concern. And is also the concern raised from around Zoka, that government officials who are guarded by guns are the ones causing destruction to our forests. And Gilbert mentions that these people transport logs, maybe also charcoal, under the watch of the likes of you who are the chairpersons of security in the district, as this is. Please, let's have some response to that.
Thank you, our moderator over there. Yes, indeed, I have heard about this allegation. And actually, I've also heard about it right now from the Honorable Member of Parliament here with us in the studio. But then I would also want to take it still at allegation level, because I am an RDC, and I have been in an area where the issues of SACCO was so rampant. My brother in the studio here, Wohata, can bear me witness. When I was in Agago, these elements of those so-called untouchable officers or those order from above have not experienced one, because it depends on how a particular individual is very passionate about his environment. Now, how would all those come from? Because our officers and any other officers in this country serve in line with the Constitution. And the Constitution is very clear, is what I use as my instrument of serving the people. If the Constitution talks about environmental protection and promotion of environments, you can't come using your whims and power and tells me otherwise. I will take on you head on. So I really want to take it as an allegation. If there is at all any other DC or any other officers doing such, is therefore acting unlawfully. And such a person must be exposed and then brought to book, because it is very simple. Now, who are those people? In fact, to me, I find maybe it is an individual kind of weakness. I want to see that such a thing happens in the jurisdiction where I am serving in the capacity of RDC in my district, and you come with your arrogation and abrogation of the law. I will put you to order. So that could have been an individual weakness, if at all it is a true allegation. This is what I can respond for now.
But RDC, I know you have the forum of RDCs in northern Uganda.
Yes.
Please take that, what you call as allegation to your forum. Let your colleague RDCs check themselves.
True.
Okay.
I've taken note of that, and then I will also discuss it in our forum, so that at least we strengthen that, because if we serve the people and live in the environment to die, then we shall have one of the worst legacy ever on record. So those are areas that we must stand tall and ensure that environments are not degraded or destroyed.
All right. The people of Zoka are crying, and they are clearly saying those who are destroying the Zoka there, they have guns. Okay. We are going to also get back to Arua to listen to the guests here. Especially now, we'll be focusing on remedy to the environment. We have 50 minutes left to be out of this program. But before I invite the other guests, I want to go through the feedback from the listener, and maybe in your submission, you may say one or two things on what the listener is saying. Listener, we're getting your feedback on the studio line. It is on text message. The text message line is 0393 273252. For this dialogue, the Northern Uganda Green Dialogue, feedback from you is through SMS give us your feedback on 0393-273252. And this dialogue is also on Facebook, Radio Patches Facebook. It's live. And Peter the Rock is streaming us live. Yes, let's go to the feedback here. And I want to start from with this one from Madio Kolo. Demaga, you are saying you are from Olepi sub-county. Your concern is local forest reserve is finished. Who is responsible? Arua or Madio Kolo district? Local forest reserve is finished. Okay, I'm trying to see who can respond to that, but yes. Okay. Okay, but that's one concern expressed here. Let's have this one. Stephen from Oriama sub-county. Thanks for this dialogue. My challenge is we as host community, we are not employed in the camps, but people across West Nile are the ones working there. Yes, that is in Oriama sub-county, and I know OPM you'll respond to that. Okay, let's go to this one. I already read the one of Francis, but Francis had also, it is still to do with the government officials. Francis from Obongi saying, I like this dialogue. I have come to learn that top government officials are the ones destroying the environment. And he had mentioned that bit of Zoka Forest Reserve. This is Dr. Omale William. He says, we have land in Imbepi next to the refugee camp. The refugees have finished cutting our trees for burning charcoal. They even sneak to cut the trees at night. To the camp commandant, how can the UN OPM help us to restore our trees? That's from Imbepi camp. Okay. There is Onjima Emmanuel from Ambelechu, that's in Yumbe, says, I really appreciate these programs. So for us to protect the environment, we need to plant more woodlots around our homes. Okay, thank you very much, Onjima Emmanuel from Yumbe. Hi, Gaetano, thanks for this show. Destruction of the environment to earn living by locals, because no one wants to stay hungry. Oh, the element of hunger comes in there. Forest is cleared for building factories by investors, where big sum of taxes are paid to government and locals are employed as casual laborers. Now, in this regard, who is to be blamed? Is it the government or locals? This is Afecus Silvano. Yes, Afecus Silvano is the one raising that concern. Okay, Afecus, thank you very much. Ernest Lemako, you are from Arua Central Division, saying, I wish to thank the guests for their contribution. One, I wish to ask the team, what is the contribution of government towards environmental degradation? And yet, they are giving out wetlands to assumed investors. And yet a member was opposing cement graveyard in cemetery. When some cemeteries have been sold out, for example, Namambe Industrial Park. Two, if government is under authoritarianism, then solving the lacuna to environment, we may not achieve any results. Take an example of misappropriation of funds towards environmental degradation. Okay, that's Lemaku Ernest from Rural Central Division. Okay, thank you, Lemaku Ernest. Gama Hassan from Tika 1 Settlement. Question goes to UNHCR officer. Why can't you extend services of tree planting and growing to Tika zone? Because people wanted to plant trees and there are no seedlings. How can you help us? Thank you for this show. Okay, seedlings. People are looking for seedlings, and maybe the other partners here will tell them I have seedlings. Maybe I don't know. Okay, there's a one here. Thank you, guests in the studio. I am a resident of Aroi sub-county, and I beg to be anonymous. Okay, this is the concern. Every Friday, 5 to 6 p.m., trucks full of charcoal, said to be from Jumbe, normal offload. So many bags of charcoal, and they soak in River Nyao in Aroi. Okay. The drivers tell us that soaking them in water increases their weight for factories in Kampala. Wow. And he says, I have personally worked in offloading and reloading this charcoal at Nyao. So, okay, and says, let the rural city authorities also come on board to explain the garbage situation in the town. Okay, this, oh my, but that's a serious concern. And it says 5 to 6 p.m., there is offloading taking place in Arua City. Patrick from Germany says Zoka Forest is going down every day and night. This is because government officials and LC5 and our children are not going to see some trees. Oh, okay. The message is a bit confused here. But it says Zoka is going down every day and night. All right, okay. That's a concern expressed from Germany. Now let's have this one. Godfrey from Yumbe. K Forest. Really, we are destroying our topography for nothing, and we shall suffer ourselves. Better to take care of it. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. All right. And somebody says, why RDCs always side with government when people are crying? Let them watch their footmarks. Oh my. Okay. So of course RDC for Moro is here in the studio in Gulu. This person seems to be concerned that RDC is side with the government when people are crying. All right, now we have 45 minutes. I would like to give some 4 minutes each for guests who have not spoken. And if I can start with, we're interested in remedies to the destruction that has been caused to the environment. And you can explain that from your own perspective, what you have been able to do and what more can be done. And maybe saying 1 or 2 things about comments that have been sent here. And we'll start with Mr. Papi Simon from West Nile Foresters. You can also say something brief. Let me add 1 more minute to make 5 minutes. Say something brief about you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gaetano, and my guest, senior panelist, Mukol and Simon Papi. I work for West Nile Foresters. West Nile Foresters is not a new company. We are about 4 years old now. We raise quality and quantity improved seedlings of fruits using indigenous tree species. They were talking about like Physalia africana, but our improved seedlings include the clonolipilapters. This clonolipilapters takes around 1.5 to 2 years to mature for poles and 5 to 7 years for timber. And also House of avocados. This House of avocados is an avocado variety for export. The fruit that's ready for consumption takes around 2 to 3 weeks without getting bad. So it's the avocado variety which is on demand now. And also hybrid pine. This hybrid pine is not locally seen around here. Getting the seeds of this pine is not easy. You have to apply through Uganda Timber Growers Association. A kilo is about 5 million. That means you cannot get the seedlings around. So we have the seedlings ready for Australia and Brazilian pine seedlings. This pine takes around 8 to 13 years to mature.
Okay.
8 to 13.
Okay.
So we also have indigenous tree species like Aphyselia africana, mahogany, the Musizi, Grevillea, and those others. In fact, we have all the seedlings there. Their quantity and the quality. And they also have some plus add ornamentals. We don't only raise seedlings, we also provide the extension services like planting these trees, establishing like woodlots, orchards, also train farmers, and plus other things. Now about our location, we are located along Vurakasom's Road, near the new district headquarters for Arua district.
Okay. These seedlings we are talking about, how do people get them? Are you, because somebody was saying, what donations are there? Although the question was to you, do you have donations of tree seedlings?
No, we don't donate, but we sell seedlings. We just sell them.
Okay.
But we also supply, and we do supply.
How cheap are their seedlings?
They are cheap. That's what I can say.
As cheap as 100 shillings per seedling?
Okay. Yeah. You can get.
Okay.
Yeah. But
okay.
I'm going to give, for more information, maybe I'm going to give some contacts.
Okay, but you have mentioned where you are located.
Yeah.
People will know where that location is.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you for that contribution you are making. Let's have a lady here, Judith, for some of the remedies we should be talking about from the perspective of also Care Uganda. Judith, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cassis. I want to start by saying, as the only lady here, I'm going to gender environment component, Go Green Project. I want to start by saying something little about CARE. CARE is an international organization that works around the globe to save lives, defeat poverty, and achieve social justice for the poor and the vulnerable people, especially women and girls. The focus of CARE is mainly on women and girls. And we have components. We have 4 departments. One of it is livelihood, gender justice, humanitarian assistance, and climate justice, where I want to speak about. Climate justice, actually, when we talk of our Mother Earth, the Environment Day today, it's about our Mother Earth and climate justice. Why climate justice? Climate justice at CARE is one of the departments that is very key. Why? Because we call it climate justice, but you all know it can be environment management, different departments. Climate justice at CARE, it's a new paradigm shift that links human rights and development to achieve human-centered approach, safeguarding and rights of the most vulnerable, and sharing the burdens and benefits of climate change and its resolution equitably and fairly. I want to talk about what the UN person talked about. We're talking of environment, planting trees, and Arthur, who was from Moyo, I think, talked about talked about the role of many people who play parts in environment degradation and who is to be blamed. We are blaming the lower people at the household level. They should plant trees, but where is the problem coming from? And when we talk of equitable distribution, we see in the climate change component world over, the issue of climate change is created by many people. Those who have money, we rightfully said that they are cutting trees. The impact of carbon, the carbon issues is much greater than what the local people are doing. What are we doing? We are talking of the Africana Aphyselia being cut. What is the benefit for the local people? What is the burden on the local people? Especially I talk about women and girls. We all see the climate change impact, the shocks and the disasters, change in weather, the floods, everything. It affects women and girls most. And we had a small survey. Who at the household are doing productive work? It is the women and girls. Who is doing reproductive activity? It is women. Even planting this tree, we talk of the 3 million trees that are being planted. If we do at household level, who is doing this at our community? You find it is women and girls who are mostly involved in the productive work, in reproductive work, in agriculture, in everything. So my point here is, how can we involve the girls and women? That is the gender transformation. That is why I come with talking about gender transformation in environment. And that is a key component, because all this money we're going to put in, all the activities, if we don't do the gender transformation, we will not actually achieve this. So for me at CARE, most of the programs, we have one program in Yumbe, which is called Regreening Yumbe Communities, which actually aligns with Go Green campaign. And it is advocacy, supporting the local council to improve and work on bylaws and ordinances. But when we have these laws, when we have this awareness, when we don't involve the key persons, the women and the girls, are we going to achieve? We will not. So our component is involvement of women and girls.
Okay.
And it is just one thing. It is actually creating opportunities and breaking barriers. So in most of our projects, we are breaking the barriers that women cannot do this, they cannot do that. How can we empower the women to break the barriers so that they can participate in these activities and create opportunities?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Judith, for that submission. Right. Now, thank you. To what you are saying, Dennis from Yumbe is actually saying they have 100 acres of land for afforestation in Dragini sub-county. Through UNHCR, is it possible for this year and the district to supply them with seedlings and maintain in a short time? And when? I think you already mentioned you have advocacy to that perspective.
Yes. And I think one of the issues I wanted to say is about where should the trees be planted. I want to give you an example. Like in Yumbe, we are talking of woodlot establishment, the issue of management. Who manages the woodlots? At what level? We don't want to plant trees, but we want to grow trees. So the approaches must also change. As I talk, let us see which approaches are key. I have seen we have been establishing woodlots, the 300 million seedlings. If we could see it, we would see West Nile really green. But what is the challenge? And one of the things is the land belongs to the landlords. And if you're talking of like refugees, they don't have enough land. They get how many? 50 by 50. They cannot do an extensive agroforestry practice. So can we also look at the landlords who have land like we're talking of? Can we change the approach so that those who have land, the landlords are the ones to give us land, and they also participate in planting trees than giving it to only the refugees and the host communities who don't have land.
All right.
So that's
thank you very much, Judith. You can take your seat.
Thank you.
All right. That was Judith. She works for CARE Uganda. Right. Let's go to Omea Agribusiness. People may be wondering how is Omea helping us in environment conservation. Let's get that perspective from your own intervention. And we've also been joined here by Guma Gad. He's the sector manager for National Forest Authority. Guma, you'll be responding to us to some of the concerns at some point. What people have said about the game reserves, how the game reserves are being protected under your watch, plus some of the concerns expressed about environment. Right, let's have Mr. Ndema Habib here. Ndema, agribusiness vis-a-vis environment. Tell us.
Well, the first thing you'd actually look at is the trees you're looking at can be part of agriculture in the form that if they are planted just for consumption, by consumption I'll be looking at fruit trees. This is actually one remedy I would look at for someone to say, to reduce on deforestation, plant more fruit trees. It gives someone the opportunity because everyone is looking at how can we help and reduce on deforestation without giving an alternative. In an alternative form, the first would be to plant a fruit tree. How often is it that the source of income you would be getting through firewood can outcompete a fruit tree that you'd be harvesting year in, year out? Then one thing we're all focusing on is the trees alone. In protecting environment, we also have to look at waste management. With waste management, as our brother had earlier on mentioned, they were thinking of putting up some industry that can produce gas or something of the sort. But when you look at it, it's really a large-scale thinking. We have to look at it from a because our target is you preserve the environment, but using what's around and not altering or affecting it. So as our first speaker, Mr. Kamara, came up with that, he actually mentioned something about 3 million, was it 3 million seedlings? When you look at that figure, 3 million? Come on, okay, 3 million. If you look at that figure, that's big. And one thing we're all not looking at is the most crucial step. When that tree is planted, what happens to it? Because if we were to say, yes, those 3 million trees are planted and they're taken care of, and we take off a small percentage, say 20%, I would be looking at close to about 2.4 million trees remaining. What impact would that 2.4 have if it was well taken care of? Because we're not going to guarantee that all the 3 million reach maturity, yes, but at least that 2.4 has an impact it will put on the environment. Okay, yes, all right.
Thank you very much, Omea Agro Business, for that input. And let's pick it up from you. And we have Dan Church-Aid, the gentleman for Dan Church-Aid. Adema Felix, if we can have you on board. But what somebody mentions here, they have land in Dajini. They need you to help them. Also, delving into what else can be done to get back to our glories, the past glories of the environment. I think in the past we were safer than today.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer. It's a very great day. Actually, we don't have enough time. If we could have at least one full day, I think we'll talk enough about what environment is. By name, I'm called Adema Felix. I work for Dan Church-Aid. Dan Church-Aid is the lead partner for environment and the energy. That is the refugee and host community. As Dan Church-Aid, we have done a lot. So the remedies which we have, or how we are sorting out the issues of environmental concern, for today's issue, let us look at the root cause and the dynamic pressures. That's how we can solve the issue of the environmental concern in which refugees and the host community. A root cause is what drives the people to damage the environment. That one needs to be first solved. People talk about the poverty. And if it is the root cause, how can we solve this issue of the poverty to solve the issue of environmental degradation? So one of the things which we have to do is we need to get at least way of people to get at least something little for their survival. Who can do that or who can give that? That's also another question. It means the government has to come in to help the poor, because the poor people at the local context are the one destroying the environment for their survival. What can now the local government do for these local people is key.
If we don't address that, we will always talk about environmental degradation a day after another, but the degradation continues. So it means all the stakeholders has to come in. UNHCR in the refugee context is doing a lot to help the locals. But what about the sub-county? Because it's not only the people of concerns who are destroying the environment, the local communities also in this particular area per se do also the destruction. It means the lower local government has to also come in. The second issue is, what is the dynamic pressure? So if the dynamic pressure is, we don't also talk to these people, they are not sensitized, it means they do whatever they want. So it means the partners also to intervene. We need to educate the community on how best to conserve the environment, because some of the communities, they are doing this destruction without knowing that they are destroying it. If you take the trends analysis, previously our country was really green. The part of Africa was much seen if you see Uganda. But the situation now is the growth of Uganda is more like the growth of a young man. From the beginning, you will see a young man grows very handsome with the hair, with everything. But the situation we are in is where a young one now grows where the hairs keeps disappearing. We now call this situation as a man who has a bald head. So what is now the effect once you have the bald head? It means you have already lost your hair. It means the beauty of this young man cannot be seen. So it is a touching moment. It doesn't need only one partner to come on board to talk about this environment issue. It's not only the tree, the weather itself is changing. The water as a resource is dwindling. The river valleys are lacking water. The health situation is alarming. So it means everyone who is using environment to holistically come on board and support the protection of this environment. So there are two questions which someone asked. I think one or two. One is from Tika. Yes. About the tree seedling. This year, as a partner through UNHCR, I think where the seedlings are raised by NFA, gives tree seedlings to people who are interested to grow trees. We don't have that boundary of tree growing. So it means anyone who is interested can come to you. Who has the land can come to DCA. Okay. You will come and fill your form. Okay. That form you fill, you take it to NFA. That is approved form from DCA. I think it has been UNHCR contracting NFA. So we approved the form. You go with the form to NFA. You get your seedlings. Okay. And we have also given seedlings beyond Tika to Madi side to Madokolo and other part of other parts of the West Nile. Okay. Have also planted the trees which we approved from NFA. Are you there in Juman also? Well, there is a UNHCR IP. People to come? The UNHCR IP in Adumane, I think that is the LWF, is also doing the same. Okay. But DCA is from Koboko, that is Lobole, Yumbe. We have Arua, that's in Arua, we have the Rhino Camp, and also in Vepi and Kiriadongo. This is the lot where we give the seedlings to the people over the beneficiaries of interest. We don't give to anyhow like as people used to distribute before. Okay. We don't distribute but we give to the beneficiaries who are interested, who have prepared their land, who have the interest to grow the tree.
Okay.
So few of the areas which I want also to touch is, we are talking of biofuel.
Let's have that in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Your 5 minutes are actually over.
Okay, the biofuel. But let us look at also other alternatives of the fuel. One of it, we talked about one of the technologies, Lorena, which I think the UNESERA has talked about. The briquette production is also going on. Instead of you going to cut the big tree so that you use it for cooking or doing other things, you just make a briquette from a simple chunk and at less cost.
All right.
I think that one may save you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Felix.
Okay.
When we shall have requests from people, we know where to go to. Dan Churchyard. They will do the needful. Okay, we have two more here before we can get the person of NFA. And I have also seen here the Honorable Olanya as a question to put forward. I will get that after Abizadi and JZ. Let's start with Abizadi, Mr. Chema Daniel. In maximum of 5 minutes, from the perspective of Abizadi, what is there now at Abizadi that people can go for the environment?
Thank you very much, Gaetano. It is such a great opportunity to talk to quite a number of people at such a time like this. Like you had rightly said, my name is Atemadan. I work for NARO. I'm based here in Abizadi, formerly called Abdi Farm. I would be very interested to talk about environment in relation to what NARO does. But as of now, I want to start with a preamble touching everyone, because environment should be a cry of everyone. In our present situation, the issues of environment are like us cutting mangoes in order to pick the fruits. And we are busy doing that. We're enjoying the fruits. But tomorrow we are not going to get fruits again. And this is a wake-up call to every one of us actually to start walking the talk. Most of us are talking without walking the talk. We are talking about simple things that would actually improve our environment, starting actually by sorting even waste from our homes, planting 2 trees or 3 from our homes. But none of us seem to be doing this. We are experts in talking, but actually not experts in doing. And that is going to catch up with us very soon. Concerning NARO does a number of things to actually contribute towards sustainable management of environment. And when we talk about sustainable management of environment, most people have always been thinking about preserving these things without getting something from them. Actually, we need to so much talk about not conservation, preservation, but conservation. We get it in a way that we do not destroy completely. And NARO has technologies that are actually contributing towards this. From the agroforest section or tree department, what we are right now doing is to reduce the lifespan of some of the indigenous trees that stay very long in order to reach their maturity to shorter periods by doing grafting technologies. And we are trying to graft indigenous tree species like shea, which take quite long to start fruiting. And the research is getting actually closer to a breakthrough where we are going to begin to establish orchards of some of these indigenous fruit trees. And elsewhere, studies are also going on at the level of to see to it that some of the indigenous tree species, like the combretum, which people like so much for making charcoal, how they can be raised from nursery and also planted. And that said, there are other interventions from the part of research, because when we talk about environment, there are also other technologies that work towards reducing actually waste to management of what we get, especially post-harvest handling technologies and also better processing technologies, especially for things like fish, where smoking, we know when we smoke fish, actually the quality we get is not always good, but we have a technology that reduces smoke in fish and makes us to get quality fish. Now that said, I want to come back to us actually the people who are so much facing this trouble of climate change, not climate change, environmental degradation. When it comes to issues of environmental degradation, we need to actually approach this in a very holistic manner. Like the previous speaker spoke, I want to also allude to it that what pushes people to degrade is actually the stomach problem, the lack of something to eat. So when we are talking about conservation, we need to holistically address, because if we're going to stop someone whose source of livelihood is only charcoal from doing that business, we are actually causing murder. But we should be able to think otherwise. As we're doing this, what are the alternatives available for these people to survive? In that case, we need to do holistic kind of approach where we should actually provide for these people some alternative as we stop them from doing this. Then number two, we need to attach economic value to some of our valuable trees. I want to talk for the case of shea butter tree. If we had products or if we had value attached to shea butter tree, cutting of this tree would actually become quite a tricky thing for many people. But why people cut it today easily is we do not have direct economic benefit from the shea nut fruit. So this goes to policymakers and also to private sector. If we can come up together to begin adding value to the nuts, I'm very sure and 100% sure we're going to start conserving this tree. And I'm speaking this from experience point of view. Now, my last recommendation goes to all the leaders from top to bottom, from political, religious, and even from our homes. Please and please and please, let us start valuing our environment. Let's start actually doing simple things that are going to count so much when it comes to issues to do with the environment. It is very disheartening. You go in the towns, in most of our towns in Uganda, someone eats just maize, you buy maize cob, you just peel and throw the cover just on the road, and it is a normal thing for us. This takes us to change our attitude, and it must start with me, and it must start with you.
Thank you.
In conclusion, let me just now conclude by saying one thing. In conclusion, please, let us love the trees. Let us love them, because they are the only true friends who will die with us, and they will always be with us. Even if you go to your grave, they go with you in the form of coffin. They are the only honest friends of ours. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much from Abizadi and for that beautiful submission. That's Achema Daniel. We have JZ and actually Echo Uganda. That will be giving some submission. Let's go to JZ for that submission from the perspective of JZ. But quickly, a feedback from for Judith here. There is this feedback from the Diocese of Bolzano in Italy, and this feedback says, congratulations to Mrs. Judith. Very true. Women shall be involved in the programs. Women will really bring a big change. Okay, greetings and congrats for the good program today. This is Irene from the Diocese of Bolzano in Italy. All right, let's have JZ. Yes, that is JZ here is represented by Mr. Oyaku Samuel. From what JZ does, let's see how the environment can be saved.
Thank you, moderator. Good afternoon, listeners. I'm Samuel Oyaku, technical expert, energy access in displacement setting. As JZ is a development agent that has supported a lot, especially in the areas of the environment. But under energy cluster, we have a program called Promotion of Renewable Energy Efficiency Program here in this country. We have supported a lot at a national level, district level, and also in relation to what UNHCR is doing, we are one of the operating partners. I want to first concur with my brother Asega. If every home was having, say, an improved cook stove or a Lorena, I believe
we would talk less. We would have seen a lot of progress in terms of how our environment is preserved in relation to tree cutting. One thing maybe moderator will be requesting future is there's one actor that we have solely left out, that is the private sector.
Okay.
Private sector in relation to energy provision. Many of us here have talked about we need to have efficient energy ways of maybe cooking and other things, but we have underlooked the role played by private sector in terms of provision of these improved cook stoves. I must concur with most of you. The issue is not just simple. Many trees have been cut. We have talked, but we have not known in detail causes of why these trees are cut. But I presume many of us use these trees for maybe biomass fuel. As we are seated here, we're even planning to go and cook. All our families are cooking, but we have not asked what are they using, what sources are they using for cooking. Even the food that is brought there is at the expense of a tree being cut somewhere there. So how do we bring it in a holistic manner? Many of us are running away from the roles played. I saw the local leaders saying they're not, some are saying they're not aware. But I think in a holistic manner, we need to have actors who should be held accountable. Because in every office that we hold, there's a role we're playing towards this. How do we come together to ensure that whatever we are talking here is fully implemented? As GIZ, like he said, we have innovative approaches. One thing my brother will concur with me here is we promote access of improved cook stoves, not by us, but we bring private sector in. Also appreciate the role that UNHCR is doing together with other partners through free handouts. But how do we bring private sector to this market where free handout is supposed to be modeled with the market-based approaches? So I think we need to have further discussion on that.
Okay.
Institutional cook stoves. We know most of these trees that are cut, they are used in urban areas. We have schools that are cooking. What are they using? Are they still using the 3 stones? If they could also advance to using improved cook stoves that GIZ has innovatively put in some of the areas, they go and see, and then they are linked to private sector. I believe some of these things will be at least. And then lastly, we need at national level, policy making people should have at least some policies that also allow favorable players like private sector to provide other sources of fuel, say biogas for those who can afford, or maybe briquettes for those that have raw materials to make it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yaku Samuel from GIZ. Okay, let's have, now, Mr. Ngonji Ronald from Eco Uganda, maybe also for us to know what Eco Uganda, how Eco Uganda is of relevance to saving our environment. Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Gaetono. I observe the views and comment of all panelists in this discussion. As mentioned, I'm called Ronald Ngonji. I work for ECHO. ECHO stands for Ecological Christian Organization.
Okay.
It's an indigenous organization, and currently we are 17 years old. And our main office is in Kampala. And we have field offices in Boroto, Nablatu, Napak, Mayuge, and Tosera, and of course we have one in Arua. So we are both an environment and the livelihood partner.
Okay.
So meaning that we have those 2 components in the way what EPA does. So in Arua, we are 3 years old, we're not new. We have been implementing a project called rehabilitation and restoration of natural resources in the Rhino camp. It was a 3 years project being funded by the German government through DMZ. Of course, the money came through Malteser. And this was a consortium of 4 partners, that is ECHO, being the technical lead, the Victim Relief Alliance, the environment partner, and then Caritas Navy doing the livelihood component. And under this, we, especially for us being in the technical lead, our mandate was to oversee the activities of the sister organization that is Caritas Snake and TVRA. And for us, we had the input of training the local communities, whom we call CBFs. They are 65 in number. 5 were picked from the 5 schools that we identified to benefit from the energy cook stoves. Then the 60 were brought from the communities, both the refugees and the host. So we trained them in various skills, in tree growing, farmer managed natural regeneration, soil fertility management, among others. I cannot go into the details of the rest, but we hope that training will benefit because I know projects have their lifespan. Of course, this was the year's project that came to an end, and I hope that training them and equipping them with the knowledge, they will be able to transform the knowledge such that because each individual was assigned at least to go to around 20 people within their vicinity. Under the environment component, we also established 2 nursery groups, that is at Siripi, near River Ingaro. We trained them, we boosted their capacity. As I talk now, they're also raising seedlings. And I think TVRA is in the process of registering them with the district such that their nursery also becomes known and certified. I think this goes now to the partners. I think those people also have seedlings. For those who don't have enough seedlings, you can still consult them and count for them. Then on the livelihood aspect, we gave out beehives to both the refugees and the host community. Of course, under the UNHCR and opium policy, refugees are not supposed to be given beehives because you cannot put beehives within the communities where refugees are. But we encourage the refugees to liaise with the community, such that they were given land and where the beehives were established.
In 30 seconds.
Yeah, and hopefully that was done, and I think it is this kind of success. And then the 5 schools where we conducted energy stops, like Ejome, Wangoro, Siripi, Hope Primary School, and Oshia. These schools were identified based on the feeding program that was going on. And then one, and of course not least, the biggest achievement that organization did was to develop the district environment action plan for Terego. And as I talk now, it is already working too, and it's just waiting to be signed by the top leadership of the district. And I think all environment partners, not all environment, but all partners, because environment cuts across, it's a broadcasting thing. So irrespective of the intervention that we're doing, that one will be a document that will benefit the rest of us.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Gonji Ronald from ECHO Uganda. Now we only have 5 minutes to 1 p.m. The time has run so fast that I will wish to have more time, but also the next programs on the radio are coming. And now we'll want to go to the last remarks. I am going to start with NFL. I'll pick one from Gulu, and then I'll pick one from Moyo Associate. Gulu, we can. Okay, Gulu, Gilbert, you had a question. Maybe let's first go to Gilbert. Maybe your question could go to NFL also, but then the RDC will have for us the last remark from there. In Arua, we will end with UNHCR here in Arua. Can we have Gilbert here? Gilbert, Honorable Gilbert.
Yes, thank you so much. I wanted to ask.
You can start in 30 seconds.
Yes, I wanted to ask NFL. We have witnessed in many occasions whereby the National Forest Authority, wherever a forest truck is arrested, you see the authority from National Forest Authority coming to release the persons. And I have witnessed personally, we have the environmental protection officers, those ones who are based in Karoma. Currently, they are the one clearing those trucks going to Kampala. I wanted to find out, why is that so? And secondly, His Excellency the President, some 3 years ago, gave a directive to all the RDCs to stop environmental degradation. And I wanted to ask the RDC whether the president normally talks different thing and gives them different orders, because I am seeing the destruction of environment is going on. And finally, I wanted to give my I want to give my opinion as a final remarks. That as government, we need to get other sources of power. As somebody said, currently the only source of power for cooking is charcoal and firewood. If government would subsidize the prices of electricity, gas, so that we reduce on the cost and utilizations of firewood. I thank you, and I really appreciate the very good program. God bless.
Very much, Honorable Gilbert Olainya. Now, NFA.
Thank you very much, Gaetano. My name is Gad Guma. There are very many concerns that I need to.
Can you summarize? Let me give you
about.
3 minutes. Summarize them in 3 minutes.
It's okay. But I want to begin by saying that all the issues you have raised end up with the tree planting. And you have mentioned NFA to be part of it, which is true. After now, we have realized the problems. After we have realized the effects, the one sure solution is tree planting, which we must do as the people of this earth. And I want to say that it is only those who will feel the pain and who are able to see the problems that have been caused who will be interested in tree planting. We have been here for now 18 years since our creation. And I want to say that it's not only, many people only look at NFA as a solution to all this, but it is not true. We work alongside with the district forest services to handle environmental issues, and the vegetation cover is only 24%. However, the biggest lies in the hands of the local governments, and the other people.
So therefore, if you can go direct to those particular concerns.
Yes.
What Gilbert has said, is there order from above? I think something like that. Also, what is happening to Zoka Forest? That's the game reserve. Ajay Forest, game reserve.
Number one, about clearance that Gilbert has talked about. I don't know the circumstances under which NFA has always come to say released, impounded, because it begins with who has impounded the trucks. And under what, because we impound trucks when they don't have duly clearance. And all these clearances are supposed to be done by the district. And for us, we supervise, we ensure that they are there. So if it is not there, there's no way NFA is just going to come and release the truck, under which condition. Number two, if they don't have, we have been mandated, we can now, there are two options, because such people are either supposed to be taken to court, or they can be, they can pay fine. So those are the conditions under which the trucks have been, and it must be duly documented. That's what I know. Then about local K, Zoka, Ajay. Ajay is a protected area under Uganda Wildlife Authority. We don't have direct mandate over it. That is their duty. But these central forest reserves which have been mentioned, it is true, many people have gone into them. And I want to say that one of the issues that has caused these forests depleted, we talked about enforcement. NFA actually does enforcement of the policies which are in place. But the same people who make these policies for us to implement are the ones who turn around actually to block us from implementing them.
The leaders.
I must say, because recently one of our MPs came for to take his siblings, which we give out. And he was asking us, why don't you people enforce the laws? We told him it is because of you. Because for cheap popularity, for looking for votes, recently, those of you who have been listening also to other areas, just here, we have been opening boundaries of our Central Forest Reserve, like of Laura. And the MP has come openly. Our own here has said people should be able to attack NFA and they can go back. Those who we had already removed, that they should go back to dig in the forest reserves. So what do? They are the same lawmakers and they are the people who are breaking the law.
All right.
So we are actually, that's a shame. It's a big shame. We are tortured. Actually, we're being threatened. We are doing work, but it's like they have belittled us.
In 30 seconds.
Finally, what I want to say is we must plant trees. Let us plant trees of any nature.
By the way, do you have these seedlings there for people to gather?
We have them.
Okay.
You have heard all our partners.
Procedure to getting the seedlings.
Our partners have said the seedlings are with us. It is true. I want to confirm that they are there. Please go to DCA for those under UNHCR. For seedlings under community tree planting program, come to NFA. There are forms to be filled.
Okay.
And you'll be given your seedlings.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gad. Yes, for those clarifications. Yes, I only wish that you came earlier. I should have given you more time. We have more issues to talk about. Now, I want to only give 1 minute each because it is already 1 p.m. and the next programs are starting. RDC Omoro in 1 minute, last remark. Associate in Moyo in 1 minute, last remark. And UNHCR here in 1 minute. Yes, RDC.
Thank you so much for a good program. I am grateful to Radio Passes and their management for this airtime. One simple message that I want to give. The issues of afforestation, which is mitigations to the damage being caused to the environment, is a mitigation good. But my appeal to the general population, it should not be, the mitigation should not be a motivation to deforest, to cut down the trees, because the seedling we are talking about is a good process. But then some of these which were naturally in a given place, that means the soil were compatible with it. For example, the cyanide trees that we have in other areas in northern Uganda cannot actually do well in other regions of this country. So have we done the soil testing that will be compatible with the growing of those? So let the mitigation of planting trees not be a motivation in whatever region, but we can actually plant more. That's my message. Right. He has left the studio, but then what the president has always given us a directive is as good as the law. So there is no any additional directive being given to the contrary. That is just a manipulation of information. I have never seen it, but I also call upon all the RDCs and all government workers at whatever level, especially the community themselves, because some of these spaces we are trying to guard against are actually good to the community themselves, and they are the first point of enforcement. Let us not allow the degradation of our environment where we live in. For example, the cyanide trees is actually the beneficiaries are the communities themselves. So who are you to come and actually degrade or cut down such trees? Let us join hands together with the communities. There is no way an RDC is to work contrary to what the communities are for, because so there is no way an officer of a government will come and now side with the government, and yet the government is put in place by the community. Power belongs to these people. So let us be together in this and avoid this degradation and destruction of our environment.
Thank you very much, RDC. You are going to be our voice to promote issues of environment. to your colleague. Thank you. Proceed, Moyo, in 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gaetano, and my colleagues in studios and everyone who is listening to this program. I want to say protection of our environment is a concerted effort. We need concerted effort. It is for all of us. Therefore, we need to grow more trees. Not only that, when we are talking about environmental protection, let us also think of waste management strategies. Also, proper management of our wetlands, among others, because this affects us all. So I want to appeal to all of us to contribute to that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Associate, for being very brief. Now, let's get back to UNHCR. Last remark as we come to a close.
Thanks very much. Quickly, I'd like to respond to the other researcher, our colleague from Gulu. I think Gulu.
Yes.
Yes, he said they are going to the soft target and that women and children will be this is school. By the way, as UNHCR, our protection of refugees and of course the host communities living alongside the refugee settlements.
Thank you.
Now, going to those people, RAS means human rights-based planning and management. If we are not involved, and if they're not involved at the start of the response, that means we'll be doing the service. By the time all the partners leave, or maybe when the resources are not there, then there's nothing left behind. So 80% of the refugees that are here in Uganda, 80% are women and children. So it is a disservice to leave them out. Therefore, in line with my colleague Judith here, I think we need to encourage that research actually to look for an opportunity to do research on how this contribution by women and children can be, quantified.
Okay.
Lastly, we should be able to adopt the 4 R's in waste management, which is reduce the use of some of these things, reuse them, recycle, and deposit. Reduce, reuse, recycle, and refuse. Yes, like refuse. Yeah, refuse, but also refuse.
Refuse.
Like using this bottled water.
Okay.
All of us here should be able to carry our own bottle, like our colleague here from the others,
yes.
so that we reduce some of this. The impact and improve the environment.
Okay.
Lastly, global warming is real. July 2021 was the hottest month on record. So as we go back to our homes, all of us should be able to take responsibility from our homes to the offices and the organizations.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much.
Refugee Day is on 8th.
On 8th.
In Bepi. All of you are invited.
Okay.
Different activities, including the football match between the women and the partners and the radio parties and so on.
Yeah, if you bring radio parties in perspective, you can be walloped. Okay, now that's why we'll come to our close. I want to appreciate you for listening to this dialogue. I want to appreciate all the guests, our panelists for coming for this discussion, the Northern Uganda Green Dialogue. And we had the panelists seated in Gulu's studio and also in Moyo's studio. I want to appreciate you, our guests there, panelists there, and all those who managed to come to the pavilion here in Arua. I want to appreciate you for your time and for the deliberations for the good of our environment. And listener, this dialogue has been on Radio Patches 90.9 in Arua, 101.4 FM in Gulu, and 104.8 FM in Moyo. My name is Gaetano Pamako. Now we'll be switching to the other normal programs of the radio. Have a wonderful weekend.